Shon Barnwell served in the United States Air Force for 25 years, reshaping organizations on 5 continents. Her areas of expertise include project management, logistics, process improvement, on-demand training, and consulting. She served in numerous leadership positions and deployed in support of Operation Southern Watch in Bahrain, Operation Iraqi Freedom in Iraq, and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. As a superintendent, she was responsible for all matters affecting morale, welfare, resiliency, retention, recruitment, and readiness of more than 71,000 service members. Shon rose to the rank of Chief Master Sergeant and retired honorably from the Air Force in 2014. After retiring, Shon became an entrepreneur. She owns and manages an event planning company as well as a publishing company. Please help me welcome Shon Barnwell to the stage.
Thank you, Superstar. Greetings, fellow airmen and guardians, and distinguished guests. Today, I'd like to share a topic that's rarely discussed in a public forum. It's usually relegated to hushed conversations and private chats. In my humble opinion, now is the time to rip off the Band-Aid and start the conversation. The most challenging time of my military career was when I worked for a toxic leader. Recent studies reveal that 3 out of 10 leaders are toxic. In reality, that number is probably far greater than that because toxic leaders actually is a dilemma that hides in plain sight. That data is alarming to me and quite disturbing. I stand before you wearing the wounds of a toxic leader experience: self-doubt, anxiety, and anger. Given the number of people here today, I'm willing to bet that you have either experienced a toxic leader, witnessed a toxic experience unfold, or created a toxic environment for others. When we talk about leadership and development, we must also address the topic of behavior. There was a time when I downplayed my personal and position power. In circles where people were senior to me in rank, position, age, or experience, I made the assumption that they would carry themselves in the highest regard. I expected them to be the ultimate ambassador. I expected that they would place honesty and integrity above all behaviors. When they didn't show humility to others, it was my responsibility to challenge that behavior the moment the negative action occurred. In my toxic leader experience, my boss was very mission focused, but the person had an intentional way of creating chaos. Instantly, the flow of communication stopped. I no longer received important details about projects, initiatives, and decisions. My request for the boss to share that information went unfulfilled. Our team, once supportive, helpful to everyone, instantly turned against one another because the boss would give conflicting details about projects. Team members were publicly embarrassed at staff meetings because they were missing deadlines that they had no knowledge about. Again, withholding information. Being an A-type personality, I was immensely frustrated. I was immensely agitated that I was having to operate in a very reactive state. Within months, morale plunged, infighting soared, sabotage was rampant, and my stress levels soared. The days became increasingly unbearable. As I drove to the base, my heart would pound so violently, I felt as if I would have a heart attack. There were instances where I'd have to pull in a parking lot just to regain my composure because the tears would flow and it would take me 10 to 20 minutes just to get myself back together. When I arrived to the building, my right hand would start to shake uncontrollably as I removed the key from the ignition to progress to the building. The person who started each day with a joyful spirit, full of life, positive energy, was reduced to a shell of a person who struggled to make it through each workday. New to the area, I didn't have a support system. My husband, couldn't complain to him. He had left a lucrative job offer to join me on that current assignment. I didn't want to vent or my frustration about the new boss in the presence of our daughter because she was navigating the challenges of starting a new school without her friends. Because the new boss was so critical, I began second guessing myself on the most basic of decisions. Instantly, sending an email became a 30-minute science project. Who should I include on the email? Should I include someone who was senior to my boss in rank? How much detail should I put in the email? Should I staff the email for the boss to send? Self-doubt kept rearing its ugly head, and it nearly crushed me. I didn't speak up for a long time because personally, I was ashamed and embarrassed to admit that I was being bullied. I offered our daughter information and insight on how to deal with bullies, and yet I still could not receive my own advice and apply it to my own life. I struggled with exposing my boss because I didn't want to do anything that would damage that person's career. Another concern that I had was that no one would believe me. After all, my boss was dynamic, intelligent, a person who made things happen. The person was very charismatic and highly effective. From the outside looking in, you would have never guessed it. But given that person's actions to destroy my reputation made me leery of reaching out. We have a tendency as leaders to put the priorities of our team and the mission above our own needs. We bury our pain and our challenges so that we can survive. If I surveyed everyone in this room, I'd guess that 80% of us have in some way suppressed or downplayed our need for help. Embarrassment and shame keeps us locked in silence. We choose not to ask for help, so we suffer the trauma, the terror, the chaos solo. I know all too well the burden of suffering in silence. Feelings of isolation and hopelessness can truly be overwhelming. Here's a secret. A toxic leader is hoping that you will maintain your silence and suffer alone. Today, in this space, we make a commitment to ourselves to change that mindset. We make a commitment to each other to change that mindset. The benefit of us attending this symposium is so that we learn, grow, and share. I have officially declared this space the Mama Shon No Judgment Zone. You're safe in here. We can have this conversation. Whether you're in this ballroom or anywhere on this property, from this day forward, we can have this conversation. Each of you here today represent every rank, every career field, and every demographic. You have the power to affect change. You have the power to create workspaces that are safe and positive for all team members. You are charged with ensuring civility and diplomacy for everyone. You understand that leadership is about behavior. That's our foundation. But we can't solve a problem that we're not talking about. We are in this space today to ensure that each of us leave here wiser, more insightful, encouraged and empowered, and most importantly, supported. I stand before you today ready to help you further enhance your leadership and professional development skill set. I have taken my past experiences of reshaping Air Force organizations on 5 continents and transformed that knowledge to help others. In our discussions about leadership, emotional intelligence, accountability, and humility have to be part of that conversation. General Brown has charged each of us with the task of accelerate, change, or lose. To that end, let's go, create the space, and change the world. I am Shon Barnwell, wingman and warrior. I salute you and thank you for your time today. Be well.